So I'm in the van and I'm ready to leave. I literally decided like 2 days ago that I was going to go away in the van this weekend. Nino's away in Liverpool seeing his family. The dog is having a sleepover at his friend's house. And for the first time in a very long time, it's just me on my own and I'm very excited. So I shouldn't be this excited. And I don't know if a lot of you have seen from the YouTube videos, I don't usually drive. And someone also once left a comment on one of my YouTube videos saying that I was an entertainment worker who doesn't have a driving license. Well, I'm now here to prove to all of you that I can drive. How well, we'll find out, but I can drive. Off we go. I think there's like highs of about 4 degrees at the moment. So yeah, it's very cold. After just a short drive, I've made it to my park up for the night. I'm in a place called Exmouth, which is only about 10 miles away from my house. So I'm down the road again. It's very wintry outside. I think it's probably about 2 degrees and it's raining and it's very windy. So I don't have the dog with me. So luckily I won't be having to get out to take him to the toilet. So I'm about to put all of the locks on the doors. So basically where I'm parked, the council have agreed to let campervans and motorhomes stay here for £11 a night. There are toilets about a 5-minute walk away, but other than that there are no facilities. But it's amazing that the councils have finally realised that people want somewhere to park. So I will put the location of this park up in the description. Also, it's only probably a 2-minute walk to the beach from this car park. So yeah, it's a great spot. And for £11 a night, you cannot complain. After last week when we ended up paying nearly £30 for a pitch. Yeah, so East Devon District Council are definitely going in the right direction. And I'm praying that this park up gets to stay. And I've stayed here a couple of times before. So it is a Friday night and there are a lot of boy races in Exmouth. But I think they close the barrier at 9 o'clock. They're supposed to close the barrier at 9 o'clock, so I'm hoping they do. So you can't get in after 9 o'clock, but you can leave over the alligator teeth, which are those things on the floor that you do not want to drive over the wrong way. But yeah, so I'll let you know if they close the barrier. But there's about 20 other vans here, so I'm not the only van. And for £11, absolute bargain. So I'm about to put all of my safety locks, let me shine this torch down here, on the doors. Obviously I'm not in a campsite, so I don't have the security of a campsite, but what I do have is the security of my new door locks, which are an absolute nightmare to get on. We get a few moments later, and if I try and open this door, that's all it's going to open. Lovely. I'd say the only downside of these locks is if you need to get out of the van in an emergency, they are a little bit fiddly. But the back door isn't fiddly, so if you need to get out of an emergency, the bed's at the back, you'd probably go out the back door. Get a side lock on, so this is for the side door. There we go, no one's getting in there. And then on the back door, we have just this little pin. I mean, this is probably a bit extreme. I'm literally only in Exmouth, and I was born in Exmouth, and my grandparents have lived here my whole life, so they literally live like 5 minutes away. But yeah, like when you're not on a campsite, there's always that chance that you might get broken into. So rather be safe than sorry. Also, all of the vans I've parked on the other side of the car park, away from all of the vans, because I don't want to disturb them by me talking. I don't want to keep them up all night by me going like, sorry, today I'm in Exmouth. So if anyone would like to know what I'm having for dinner, I'm sure you'd all love to know. I'm having breaded chicken goujons and some wild rocket. Please don't judge me. I just really cannot be bothered. So I'm having some goujons and some rocket. Oh, it's so exciting. There are so many food options around here as well. I could like drive to McDonald's or go and get some fish and chips, but no, breaded goujons and some wild rocket. What a wild night. I'm thinking a bit about these locks, and I can't decide whether they're to keep people out or to keep myself in. It's funny. In this week's video, I will mostly be talking about the positives and negatives of owning a campervan. And I'll also be talking about our journey and how we got to where we are now and how we came to owning this van. I'm going to start with the negatives and we're going to get them out of the way. So, the first negative of owning a campervan is the high initial cost. So buying a campervan is not cheap. Obviously you can do it cheaper, so you can buy a plain panel van and then convert it yourselves, and you can convert it depending on how much you have to spend on the conversion. So we have converted 2 vans ourselves. The first van cost £1,000 to buy, and then probably maybe like £200 to convert. It was very cheap, very basic. And then the second van we bought was £3,000, and we spent then about £4,000 converting it. So yeah, it just all depends on your budget. So I don't think there is such thing as a cheap camper van, because even £4,000, I wouldn't consider that as a cheap option. Obviously it's cheaper than buying a coach-built motorhome or a coach-built campervan, but that's still £4,000. The second negative of owning a campervan is the maintenance and the upkeep. So that was the main reason we bought a new van. Our old van was a 2007 long wheelbase Ford Transit called Billy, and we absolutely loved it. We loved everything about Billy except the maintenance costs. So we owned Billy for 2 years, and in those 2 years we spent about £4,000 on maintenance. So it was like a clutch and flywheel, the diff pinion was leaking, injectors, the corrosion on the Mark 7 Transit was so bad that in the end we were chasing our tail. So we had to part with Billy, and it was very sad. And that is why when we got a new van, we said we want something that will be low maintenance, because we were spending so much. And I mean, it was good because we kept our mechanic in business, but yeah, it wasn't good for us because our van was constantly in the garage with a constant problem. It probably doesn't help that we bought it as an ex minibus, and it had a huge ramp on the back that I think the ramp weighed like 250 kilos, and then it was driven by like different people all the time, so it was constantly just ragged around. So that probably didn't help. It's, by the time we got it, it had been very well used. But yeah, so that is definitely one of the negatives of owning a camper van. We've had our van 2 years now, and we haven't actually spent much on maintenance other than its first service, which was about £500. And we went to Hutton's in Somerset to get our van serviced, and we saved about £200 by doing that, because our local dealer wanted about £700, and we managed to get it for about £500. So we managed to save £200. But the guy that worked in Hutton's, and I don't like to slate people or their businesses, was the rudest guy we have ever come across in any like customer service role ever. So he basically refused to look at the handbrake on our van because there was so much movement when the handbrake was on. And then we asked him if it was covered under warranty, and he said, "Are you stupid? It's not covered under warranty. You should have made a claim when you got the van," which we did. And then his colleague had to apologise for him, and his colleague fixed the handbrake under warranty. So yeah, that wasn't the best experience, but we saved money. So the third negative of owning a camper van, and this just seems really negative, but I'm going to get to the positives. The third negative of owning a camper van is the limited space. So obviously travelling in such a small space can be cramped, and especially when there's more than one of you. So there's 2 of us usually and a dog. Today is a very strange occasion where it's just me, not even a dog. This does not happen very often. But yeah, so it's a limited space. So when you're traveling together, it takes a while to find a routine or a pattern, but only one of you can brush your teeth at a time. Only one of you can get changed each time. Only one of you can cook. So yeah, it takes a lot of getting used to, but once you've kind of like got a routine that works, it can work very well. So yeah, limited space is something that you just have to get used to. The fourth negative of owning a camper van, and this is one we all love to talk about, is the weather. So we have had our van now nearly 2 years, as I just said, and I came in the van last summer to grab something out, and this was when we had like this huge heat wave, and we have this little temperature gauge thing, which right now it's saying it's 15.3 degrees in here. I came in last, I think it was August, and the van, this thing was in the drawer and it was saying 34 degrees. That is just an unbearable temperature to be inside of a camper van. And then you've got the other extreme, which is now, which is outside, it's 2 degrees, which obviously isn't that extreme, but using the van in this weather for more than a couple of days is not a pleasurable experience. So I've come away for one night in the van, it's 2 degrees outside, and I will be spending the whole time in the van. If I was away any longer, I'd probably start to get cabin fever, and yeah, I'd start getting itchy feet. But you can't enjoy campervanning in the same way in winter as you can in the summer. Obviously in the summer you can pull up to a pitch, you can get your chairs out, get a barbecue out, which is why I wouldn't recommend staying in campsites in the winter, and I'm really sorry to anyone if they own a campsite, but I just don't think it's worth the cost. Like, we went to a campsite last weekend, if you saw my last video, and we ended up spending like over £30 to stay on a pitch, but we couldn't really enjoy it because it was so cold. So since COVID, the UK has gone crazy. A lot of places that we used to be able to stay in Devon, you now cannot stay. The height barriers went up everywhere, signs went up everywhere, no camping, no overnight parking. Yeah, so it's become very difficult in the UK. I think it's become even more expensive than it used to be. Campsites have now had to put their prices up because of obviously all the extra taxes and just the general cost of living. So in this country it is not easy. In France, on the other hand, there are airs everywhere. They're either free or they're cheap, and most towns welcome campervans and motorhomes, which I think the UK could very much do. The problem is there's so many people condensed into such a small space that there just isn't space for campervans. So the fact that our local council allow campervans and motorhomes is definitely a step in the right direction, because they know people will come here. And like, out of season now, there's 20 vans here, so even if one of these 20 vans goes into Exmouth town tomorrow and buys something from a cafe or a shop, or spends money in the area, it's putting money back into the economy. Even spending the £11 to park here is contributing towards the local economy. So yeah, this council have definitely got the right idea. We just need more areas rather than just this one. Now, on to the positives. The reason we're all here, and the reason why, if you're watching this and you're in a camper van, this will be mostly the reason why you own a camper van. So, the first positive of owning a camper van is the freedom to travel. So you can explore new places and you do not have to worry about hotel bookings or schedules. You can just explore places. I could drive, I could leave my house today and rock up at a campsite. Obviously it's February, it's out of season, and book a pitch. So yeah, it gives you so much freedom, more freedom than you'd ever get by booking hotels. So that is probably the biggest positive of owning a camper van. The second positive of owning a camper van, which kind of links to the first one, is the cost of savings on accommodation. So when you're in a camper van, you can save a lot of money by not having to stay in hotels, rent expensive B&Bs, especially over a period of time, like a longer period of time. So if you're staying somewhere for a week, obviously a campsite is a lot cheaper than most hotels. So the third positive of owning a campervan is the convenience. So always having your belongings with you. is amazing. So obviously staying in hotels, you'd have to like hire a car and then move around, but you have all of your stuff in your van and it's with you, and you can pack your fridge, you've got a kitchen, and it's just the most convenient thing ever. Obviously driving such a big vehicle isn't always the most convenient thing, but there's no limit on what you can take. So I'm not a light packer. When I pack the van, I'm filling all of the cupboard space. If there's space in the van, I will find a way to put something in it. And I think that's like one of the great things about having a camper van is you have a lot more space than you would if you were just packing your suitcase, and you can take a lot more stuff with you. So that's like one of the things I love the most is I think, oh, should I take my paddleboard? Oh yes, I'll take my paddleboard. Do I need this extra jacket? No, but I'm going to take it anyway because I can. And yeah, that's definitely something I enjoy about camper vans. The fourth positive thing about owning a camper van, which is probably the main reason we own a camper van, and I hate to say it because yeah, he costs us a lot of money, is Buddy, our dog. So camper vans are pet friendly and you can take your pet anywhere, and it is amazing. So that was like the main reason we got a van. So obviously expecting people to look after our dog all the time is not fair on anyone else, and it's not fair on us either when we want to share experiences with our dog. So the last thing I want to do is go to Europe like we did for 4 weeks and leave the dog with someone else, because the whole point of owning a dog is to be able to enjoy sharing those experiences, and owning a dog makes those experiences more enjoyable. So Buddy absolutely loves the van, and I'm kind of I feel bad because he's not here now, but he's having a sleepover at his friend's house. So yeah, Buddy absolutely loves the van, and Buddy is basically the reason we own this van. So obviously we do go on holiday without the van, and we'll get the dog looked after, but when I wanted to travel, the best way to travel is in the van with the dog at your own pace. There's no pressure. And he absolutely, when you open the door and you're in a new place and he gets out, has a little sniff and realizes there's a beach, he's gone. So that is probably one of the biggest pros of owning a camper van, and that is probably the reason we own a camper van. I think if we didn't have a dog, it wouldn't be the same, and I would probably just go on more holidays abroad and catch more flights. Then yeah, it's just the restriction of owning a dog is less restricting when you're in a camper van and you can take the dog wherever you want. And the fifth positive thing about owning a camper van is the community. So when I started my channel, obviously I didn't have any subscribers and no one really even watched my content. But now obviously like people comment on my videos, ask questions, and I feel like it's really built like a nice community. When you're staying on campsites, you will always get chatting to someone. So I stayed on a campsite last week and I met this lovely lady from Torquay. So she was embarrassed because she was like, I'm from Torquay, I've only come down the road. And I was like, it's fine, I'm from Exeter. So we'd instantly like made a connection because we both felt embarrassed. Well, I wasn't that embarrassed, but she was embarrassed about being local, and I was like, don't be embarrassed, I'm local. So yeah, there's always such a good community on campsites. There's always like a really nice friendly vibe. So owning a camper van, you will meet a lot of like-minded people. So some of the people we've met on the road are some of the most amazing and interesting people we've ever met. So yeah, owning a camper van definitely has a positive. And last year we went to an eldest CV meet, which is obviously like the people that own this range of van, and we met some incredible people there as well. So yeah, that was great, and we definitely would love to do another one of those, because then you can just go and you share experiences and you talk about like the positives and negatives of owning a van, and things like some of the upgrades that people have made to their van, even the simplest things down to finding a washing up bowl that fits in the sink. Just little things like that it has been priceless just having a community. So I just want to finish this positive and negative section by saying camper vans are not suitable for everyone. Some people, and a lot of people in my family, would say I couldn't think of anything worse than owning a camper van. So Yeah, it's definitely, you definitely have to be able to adapt to certain situations, like not using loads of water. So obviously our van has an underslung tank and only carries 100 litres of water. So you definitely have to be frugal when using the water. You can't just be like running the tap while brushing your teeth, because it will not last very long. The same with like showering, you have to be quick in the shower, otherwise you'll run out of water. And then if you're not staying on a campsite like I'm not now, finding water can be difficult. You also have to consider like how small the cooking area is. So I've seen on some forums, people will make a full roast dinner in a camper van, and I don't know how, or I don't know why you'd want to, because it would not be a fun experience. So yeah, you definitely have to like not be lured in by social media, because I think it gives a false image of campervanning and motorhoming. So when you see like pictures and videos on social media of people away in their camper vans, their vans are always like spotless and clean, and they'll be at like the most beautiful park up, and it'll be amazing, and there'll be like a beach, and it will all just look so lovely, and you think, oh, I want a piece of that. But yeah, you have to consider it's not all glamorous. And I would definitely say, before buying a camper van, rent one and try it, because then you will decide if it's for you and if it's not. I think it all just comes down to whether you think it would be a good investment for you. Every person is different and everyone has different needs. So obviously everyone has like a different lifestyle, a different budget. But I think if you love the outdoors and you like the idea of having some level of freedom in a society where we don't feel very free, I think it could definitely be worth owning a camper van. If we didn't own a camper van, we wouldn't be saying, oh, let's go away tonight, because we wouldn't naturally go and book a hotel somewhere. But obviously having a van, especially when you've paid so much for something, you want to use it. So there's a lot to consider when buying a camper van. But I'd say to anyone, don't be lured by social media. Go and rent a van and try it for yourselves before you buy a camper van.
It's 9 o'clock on a Friday night, and here I am, laying in bed, with my Cadbury's mini egg Easter egg melting chocolate into the bed sheets because it's so messy. And honestly, this is just like the perfect Friday night. If someone had told me 10 years ago that I'd be laying in my camp van in bed at 9 o'clock eating Cadbury's chocolate, I'd have said, no, not me. Here I am. It's so fun though. Literally, this is like the perfect night.
So this man is walking his cat. The cat's like, hell no. Meow. That is so funny. I've woken up after what was a lovely night's sleep. I always sleep so well in the van, like better than I sleep at home. It was a very quiet night. Now it's light, you can see there's about 20 other vans here, and the car park is huge. So the barrier did actually close last night. There's the barrier. There was hardly any traffic noise because the road is literally just behind the van, but yeah, there's hardly any traffic noise. And here are the tariffs. So it's a little bit extra. So for 24 hours for a car it's £4, but for 24 hours for a camper van is £11. But 24 hours is very generous, because if this was a campsite, you'd have to leave by 11. But it's very cold this morning, and I'm planning to go for a run. So I'm going to get back in the van, pack away, and go for a run. Moved to the seafront. So this is Exmouth seafront, and there's not many places where you can park right up on the beach. So you can't stay here overnight. So between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. camper vans are prohibited. That is why there's a parking area literally less than 5 minutes away. But yeah, so this is a great spot. There's not many places in Devon where you can park right on the beach, and I'm going to go for a quick run. It's famous for its long sandy beach, which is about 2 miles long, and it's even longer when the tide's out. And what's amazing is there's a path that runs all the way along the beach, a flat path. So it's great for cycling, great for running or walking the dog. And either end of the beach dogs are allowed all year round, which is quite rare as well. So this is Orcombe Point. So this is the bottom of Exmouth Beach. Dogs are allowed all year round here, and down by the harbour, dogs are allowed all year round. So it's a great beach for dogs. If anyone has any questions about Exmouth, or if anyone wants any ideas for things to do if they're visiting, please let me know and I can give you some amazing ideas.